So this week, the Russian Orthodox Church celebrates the Feast of the Transfiguration. And the scriptural reference for this particular meditation refers to the Transfiguration, but the meditation itself is not really so much about the Transfiguration as about prayer. So here is the scriptural reference. It is from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 9, verse 2. And it reads, Jesus took with him Peter and James and John, and led them up a high mountain apart by themselves, and he was transfigured before them. And the meditation is as follows. The Lord took with him to Mount Tabor those disciples whom he deemed worthy of seeing his glory. Peter, who was ardent in faith and impetuous in action. James, the future martyr, humble in obedience, and John, who through his love earned the love of the Savior more than the others. He led them up a high mountain apart. How often the Lord sought the silence of solitude. He constantly leaves the crowd and leads his disciples away so that they may rest and collect themselves. And as it says in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 6, verse 31, he would tell them, come away to a deserted place all by yourselves and rest a while. Worldly people seek entertainment in noisy pleasures. God's people, shunning crowds, go deep into their thoughts and concentrate on the only thing needful. In Luke's Gospel, it says that he went up the mountain to pray. This is in chapter 6, verse 12. Throughout his earthly life, the Savior apparently needed to pray. He retired to pray in order to be uninterrupted in his communion with the Father, wherein he found strength and consolation. In beginning his mission on earth, he prays. At night, he prays. In Gethsemane, preparing to suffer and die, he prays. On the cross, in his agony preceding death, until the final moments of his life, he does not cease praying and constantly urges his disciples to pray, as it says in the Gospel of St. Mark, chapter 14, verse 38, where he says, watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The mountain onto which he leads his disciples represents the difficult, thorny path that we must travel in order to rise to the heights of true prayer. The power of prayer is a great mystery. However, in its simplicity, it is accessible to the pure soul of a child. It would seem that it is easy to pray, for the spirit of prayer is sometimes manifest in a single sigh, in a single glance, but it is a great feat, a supernatural feat. It is the work of God in the human soul. Only Christ can perform this wonderful act in our heart. He alone will lead us, like his disciples, along the narrow, steep, rocky path leading up to the high mountain. He will support us and carry us on his arms, removing all obstacles. Following him, we will reach the summit and receive the reward waiting for the disciples on Mount Tabor. There, far from the noise and commotion of the world, they heard only the voice of the Savior. They saw in him the Son of God. They were witnesses to his everlasting glory. And likewise for us, when we ascend in spirit to the Lord, leaving behind all the temptations and enticements of the world, he will let us taste the inexpressible bliss of closeness to God, which will give us strength in our daily struggles, firmness in trials, and consolation in sorrow.